Well, hello to everyone, and thank you all so much for joining us for the Kingdom Premiere Bible Success Call. It is a pleasure, as always, to serve and assist you. We are so excited that you took time out of your busy schedule to join us. We have an amazing call lined up for you this evening. I'm so excited to introduce the host for the call, Dr. Stan Harris, a.k.a. Dr. Breakthrough, with a serial entrepreneur, life strategist, martial artist, evangelist, author, student, and a teacher. He's also a mentee and a mentor to many. So I'm turning it over to Dr. Stan Harris. Take it away.
All righty. Well, thank you again. It's my lovely wife, Nadia, my ABCD, Adorable Brown Caramel Delight. And welcome to our Kingdompreneur Bible Success Call. Again, we have a special guest tonight. As a matter of fact, I was going to speak on something different, but in speaking to our guest this afternoon, I decided to go a little different route. And, that's the difference. A kingdompreneur, I tell people I'm outside the box, but inside of the kingdom. And so, anyway, I want to read just a little, just 1 minute prayer I put on Facebook today and pray that over you as well and declare that. And then we'll get started. But may God remember you today like Noah, give you handfuls of purpose like Ruth, bless you like Abraham, protect you like Daniel, empower you like Joshua, heal you like Naaman, grace you like Rahab, give you strength like Samson, favor you like Moses, prosper you like Isaac and Joseph, anoint you like David, answer your prayers like Elijah, give you wisdom like Solomon, use you like Paul, intervene for you like Esther, give you enthusiasm like he did the woman at the well, and fight for you like he did for the Israelites. And so again, this Kingdompreneur Bible Success Call, my friend, we declare good over you. I was telling Charlie this afternoon, my Dr. Breakthrough Law, I used to live by Murphy's Law, and I was driving down the highway one day. I pulled over, opened up the passenger door, and screamed, "Get out!" And I kicked Murphy out of my car, out of my house, out of my head, out of my life. And I developed, instead of Murphy's Law, I developed my own law, Dr. Breakthrough's Law. And that's anything good that can happen will happen, and it will happen at the best possible time. And so I say that to myself all throughout the day. And my friend, I see it come to fruition. Now, again, sometimes, like Scripture says, all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. And so our speaker today is going to, again, she's got some incredible stories. As a matter of fact, we were talking about one today. We're going to have to bring her back again for that one. But trust me when I tell you, my friend, it's going to bless your socks off. But even today, the things that we speak about, she just has an incredible heart, incredible passion. And, as a kingdompreneur, we do business not as usual. Kingdompreneurs are one who provide a product or service to people for profit with pleasure to promote the kingdom while honoring the King of Kings. And it's all about the kingdom. It's all about allowing God to work through us. I posted on Facebook, I think it was yesterday, the beginning of greatness is to be little. The increase of greatness is to be less. The perfection of greatness is to be nothing. Because when we are nothing, he can be everything in and through us. And so our speaker tonight, that's exactly what she's been experiencing, God working in her life. And more importantly, my friend, we want that for you. And so, Charlie Johnson, welcome to our call again, the Kingdompreneur Bible Success Call. Of course, we'll have a bunch of folks listening to the replay. But thank you again for taking time out of your precious schedule. And I'm so looking forward to being at your event, speaking at your event there in Seattle, Washington in October 19th and 20th. For those of you, I spoke for this company and used their product, and it was such an incredible thing. Charlie happens to be one of the people with the company, incredible testimonial, but she's one of those God kind of people that just allows the Lord to work through him. So, Charlie, welcome to the call. Uh-oh. Let's see. I can't hear you, Charlie. I think, let's see here. You might have to hit *6 to unmute your line if for some reason you got muted out.
Okay, now I'm unmuted.
Hey.
There you go. Hello, how are you this beautiful day?
Oh, I'm blessed.
I'm here.
Just like you.
Oh, let me tell you, when you stop for a second and watch what God can do, it just takes your breath away. just absolutely takes my breath away. I was blessed and honored to be on here with you a few weeks back and shared a little bit about what happened to me 3 years ago, November 3rd. I was in my car on my way to a business meeting, and I had a horrific encounter with a semi-truck that was doing 75 plus miles an hour from behind me, and I was at a dead stop. And this guy took out the entire side, driver's side of my car, and up over the top of my trunk, tore off the driver's side of my car, and he kept going. And he kept going onto another main thoroughfare, totaled 3 more cars, kept going, and totaled 6 more cars before they were able to stop him. He totaled 10 cars, put 20 people in the hospital, all of us with varying degrees of trauma and broken bodies and broken brains and things that nothing made sense. Absolutely nothing made sense. And so they arrested this man, and he was charged with 11 felonies. And when we did some background looking at him, he had felonies from all over the United States, many, many felonies, convictions. And so only because God intervened did I find out that there was going to be a court hearing about this man that tried to kill me. And he literally told the police that he was ticked off that day and he was out to kill as many people as he could. And
Wow.
He started with me. Yeah, he was stone cold sober. He wasn't on drugs. He was just a very angry individual and set out to kill people with a semi-truck. And only because our angels were very busy and only because God had a much bigger plan is the only reason that he didn't succeed, because when they got to me, they couldn't believe that I was still alive. And there were a lot of people. There had to have been a lot of people because it was 4:20 in the afternoon, and I was on a very busy thoroughfare that connects the Port of Tacoma to the freeways. So there was a lot of traffic and a lot of people, but I can't remember anybody that was there with the exception of one person. And there was a beautiful black man. I can tell you what he had on: a construction T-shirt with the lines across it. He had on a baseball cap. He had the most beautiful blue eyes I've ever seen in my life. I will never forget that color of blue. And he was praying out loud. Thank you, sweet Jesus. She's still breathing. Thank you, sweet Jesus. She's still alive. This person is forever imprinted in my soul, but nobody else knows who he is. He wasn't there. The police said he wasn't there. The witnesses said he wasn't there. And the security cameras on the building don't show anybody that even remotely looks like this man that was wrapping his arms around me and praying out loud. And what I know today is that that was God's arms wrapped around me. That was Jesus holding me. And there are big black holes in a lot of what went on. I have been diagnosed with a lot of things that I look like a puddle of mess on paper. I mean, seriously, a big mess on paper. The truth is, somewhere in the middle of all the insanity that occurred in the next 2.5 years, I kept believing that God saved my life for a reason. I kept believing that somehow, for some reason, God saved my life on purpose. And then the next moment I would be really, really angry at him, because if he saved my life for this, I couldn't keep living like this. And I went to court when they went to sentence the man driving the truck, and I had been told that I wasn't going to be allowed to speak. And I thought, yeah, you don't know the God that I know, and I'm going to get to talk. I have a big mouth. I'm going to get to talk. So we're in the courtroom, and the judge just stops everything that's going on and looks at me and asks me if I have something to add to the conversation. And I get up to the front of the courtroom, and my first reaction was to jump over the two attorneys that were standing in between us and grab this guy by the throat that tried to kill me and say, yep, and now I'm your semi-truck, and what are you going to do about it? But instead I opened my mouth, and I found myself saying, I know that you're God's child, and I know that something horrible had to have happened to you, that you didn't care if you took out 20 people or yourself. What happened that you are so broken and so hurt that you didn't care that you killed all of us? Because I know you're God's child, and I know He loves you. And I'm trying to find some understanding. And those certainly weren't the words that I had intended to say to this man. I kind of had to look over my shoulder and see who was talking, because it wasn't what I was thinking in my conscious self. And instead of him being sentenced to prison, they let him go. They let him go home.
What?
And they let him go home. They had charged him with 11 felonies, and they gave him a plea agreement for time served, 352 days, and he got to go home. And to say I was angry is an understatement. To say that didn't add to my brokenness and my hopelessness and my helplessness would be a lie, because I felt like nobody was on my side. Nobody was on our side. Nobody cared that our lives had been turned upside down and broken. We lost a business. One man almost lost a leg. I mean, it's a horror story, but it's really turned into something so much bigger than I could ever imagine, because in the middle of my mess, God saw fit to use me for His message. And I've worked a lot on understanding and forgiveness. And I thought that I had a pretty good handle on forgiveness, because I've had to forgive myself. I've had to learn to forgive myself when it seemed impossible. But the day that God truly showed me forgiveness was on the 12th of June of this year. I found out about a month ago that on the 12th of June of this year, the man who intentionally tried to kill me died at 50 years old.
Wow.
And all I could think about was his mama. All I could think about was the words that came out of my mouth in that courtroom about you're God's child. And how in the world can I stand and say I know who God is, and I believe that He extends me grace, and hang on to the anger and the toxic environment that was created around a wreck with a semi-truck? And what I've learned in the meantime was that the man driving the semi-truck had no intention of surviving that incident. He intended to die that day, and God saved his life on purpose. And when he left that courtroom, he went home to his parents. And I have learned that in the last 18 months, he found out who Jesus is. And he gave his life to God. He gave his life to God. He turned it all over to Him. And in the words of his sister, although it wasn't the life that he had planned, it's a far better life that he has today, because he didn't want to be defined by his mistakes and his demons. And sometimes we define ourselves by our mistakes and our demons. And God's grace is the only thing that can set us free of that.
Yes.
And God showed me in clear, full living color what His grace is supposed to look like when He led me to the place of forgiveness. And I couldn't do it without Him, because the girl in me that has always been a survivor wants to stand up and scream, but wait a minute, he just skated out. He didn't have to pay for any of his mistakes. And God shows me clearly every single day that because I stood in that courtroom and I told him who God was and that God loved him, he had an opportunity to find that out to be true for himself. And if that was the whole purpose of the semi-truck, if that was the whole purpose of 2.5 years of what looked like an absolutely insurmountable disaster, then every single piece of it has been worth it, because in the meantime, God has restored me and my husband and my relationship with him in ways that I could have never imagined.
Wow. Wow. Well, as a matter of fact, I posted not long ago that I'm getting on a new diet. I call it the elimination diet. So I'm removing anger, regret, worry, resentment, guilt, and blame. And I said, then watch your health and life improve. And that's what you're testifying about right now. And in the midst of that, Charlie, about 2.5 years literally of physical and emotional suffering. I know you talked last time about planning on taking your life just simply because you didn't want to, the people that loved you, you don't want, you felt like you couldn't be there for like your husband and others, and yet God sent a remedy. There was a ram in a bush. Tell us, you mentioned a little bit about that, but all these different things, that they tried with you that didn't work. Something happened, and now they've got you traveling around speaking. And tell us this story. It's incredible.
Okay, so the middle of May, I had literally laid on the floor for 3.5 months, unable to function, unable to move my head. I was in a migraine cycle that they couldn't break. I had severe PTSD and anxiety was running my life. Physical pain was absolutely out of control. Absolutely, they had me on every drug you could imagine and a lot of things I didn't even know existed. And the middle of May, my husband finally said, we have to go back to the doctor. For the first almost 2 years after the wreck, we literally had 5 doctor's appointments a week, sometimes 7, whether it was a brain specialist or you name it, they had me on that hamster wheel. And every time we would go to a doctor, I would leave with another stack of fancy papers that cost a lot of money. And we went back the middle of May to see the neurologist and the brain specialist. And they looked at me and said, it's not going to get any better. Your brain is not going to heal. It's been 2.5 years, and it's not going to get any better. Your physical pain isn't going to change, and you need to go home and figure out how to live like this. And I couldn't keep living like this, and I couldn't stand to watch my husband watch me live like this, because I literally was a non-contributing member of society. I couldn't take care of myself. I couldn't be left alone in the house, because I would do things like I was going to make a grilled cheese sandwich, and I turned the stove on high and put the butter and the bread in the pan, and I left. I forgot that I had done it. I almost burned the kitchen down. I flooded the entire house because I was going to take a bubble bath, and, I don't know what happened, but I forgot that I had turned the water on. I literally could not be left alone. And we came home from that doctor's appointment, and I made a plan to check myself out. And I went on the internet in the part where you can look for things that people can't see, And I Googled what drugs do I need for assisted suicide. And they give you a recipe. They give you a recipe, and they give you a recipe by weight. So lo and behold, I had every single drug on their little recipe sitting on the counter in my boat, every single one of them. And I picked a 500-pound person because I didn't want to screw it up. And I counted out my pills, and I had a bottle of vodka, and I had a full gas tank in my dinghy, and I was going to get in my little dinghy, and I was going to take a ride as soon as my husband left to go back to our house, because I couldn't live like this anymore. And that particular day, I was sitting on the back of my boat. I had all my stuff gathered up. I had a notepad in the center of the table. My iPad was to the left of me, and my cell phone was to the right. I was trying to write sentences to my husband that would make sense, and I couldn't put 3 words together to form a sentence. I could not have had this conversation with you on the 27th of May. There's absolutely no way. I couldn't work my phone. And I was trying to write sentences to explain to him why I was out of here and that I loved him, and I couldn't put words together. And my cell phone rang, and it was a woman telling me that my medical insurance is canceled. And not only is my medical insurance canceled, but I am now uninsurable. And it was just like confirmation about what I was fixing to do, because how was I going to look at my husband and tell him this on top of everything else? And in that same moment, my iPad that was turned off turns on, and there's a message from a woman that I don't know, and she's offering a line of hope. She's filling out a thread of hope, and my first reaction was leave me alone, because if the doctors can't help me, why can you help me? And she said to me, but I don't want anything from you, and I believe I can help you, and what do we have to lose? And so I finally, I was sitting there arguing with her about this, I'm not interested, and God said out loud to me, this voice said out loud to me, you had better pay attention. And I literally turned around to see if my husband was standing behind me in the salon of the boat, but he wasn't. And so I may be really stubborn, but when God wants to get my attention, he sends a semi-truck, and I don't need another one. And so I said, okay, fine, and I gave her my address. And then she said, now we have to be friends. And I said, but I don't want to be your friend. I'm not a good friend. I can't be your friend. I'm not a good friend. And she said, but really, I want you to be my friend. So I became her friend. And on that day, in the form of a girl named Tammy, God showed up in a big way with a product that's brand new to the market. And that's not what this call is about. But what this call is about is God saved my life. And he saved my life for a big reason. And like it says in Esther 4:14, I was created for such a time as this. And so if you're listening to my voice and you're feeling like the knot has fallen out of your rope and you're feeling like there is no hope, I want you to know that I get it. And when people say reach out, that's about the thing anybody could say to somebody that's in crisis, because reaching out isn't even an option. But what I want you to know, if you're hearing my voice, is that you're God's child. And you're here on purpose. And he has a plan. And the plan is bigger than the pain. The plan is bigger than the despair. The plan is bigger than the hopelessness. And I promise you, hang on for one more second. Hang on. Don't let go. God's grace will save us all. I promise you that. Don't let go.
Wow. Wow. So man, that's incredible. I love what you said. The plan is bigger than your pain. I think I put that on Facebook. Wow. So real quick, I know our time is starting to run out, but let's go to the point where you start using this product. And by the way, folks, if you go to www.getonthegel.com, getonthegel.com, you'll see a little 2-minute video, some information about this product that literally I spoke for the company. Guy sent me the product to try it out. It works like incredible well. My son has been getting really blessed results that spent years in the Marines and so forth, and with the kind of like the PTSD thing. But at any rate, so they actually had you speak at I know there's a big event, and they had you speak at, and then so tell us real quick because we got to get ready to close. But what you're speaking at the event, and you bless the people. The owner comes up and says something to you, but then you get on the plane, and that's what I really want to hear about. Of how God's opened up doors, and now you're going to have your own meeting. I mean, this is incredible, Charlie, how what was meant for evil now has been turned around, and now it's a good thing. It's a God thing. This man ended up coming to Christ. You end up now getting on the product that you now have that can bring hope to people, and you're now a lighthouse and a blessing. So, yeah, share with us that airplane trip. That was incredible.
So I was in West Palm Beach, Florida for a big event for our company and spoke a couple of different times. And, when we are on the path that God intends us to be, if we think for 1 second that all the things that come against us are going to stop just because we're clear on our place, we're delusional. Because we are on the path that God intended us. The forces that want to shut us up just keep on coming. And I have to say it out loud sometimes, not today, Satan, not today. It's not happening today. So I had some of that chaotic, not great stuff going on around me. And watch what God will do. The pilot leaves the cockpit and walks down to me and wants to know who I am, what I'm doing on his plane, and why I'm so happy. And I just had to giggle because the things that were going on around me would have been able to shut me down had I not been real clear on who God is and watch what he will do. And instead of letting that energy even have like an iota of space, God shows up. Watch what he will do. I am not kidding you. If you just be still and watch what God will do, give it all to him. Give it all to him over and over and over again. I'm telling you, 2.5 years of giving it all over to him, more than I breathed, literally, in a hopeless despair that was so buried in the muck and the mud of trauma and pain and drugs that I could not see my own self. And he saved me anyway. He saved me anyway.
Wow.
Because no matter where we come from, no matter our mistakes, we are not the sum of our mistakes. We are a child of the Most High God, and he takes every single mistake that we have made and will save somebody else's life with it if we allow him.
And that was a thought that really why I wanted to have you give your testimony again on this call. Genesis 50, verse 20. Joseph said, "But as for you, you thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive." And so think about, a pear tree never gets to eat the fruit of its own tree. And, our lives and what's happening is actually to bless other people. So how dare us go to the grave with our fruit still there and not allow that fruit to be used and not allow what God has for us. And Charlie, you had planned on shutting it down, but God had greater plans. And I'm so glad he did. And I'm glad now because I always tell people, here's what people of substance only ask one question: is it worth it? And so as you look back over your life, all the turmoil, the stuff you went through, it's worth it now when you see these blessings. And when you can get on that, when you can speak at an event, to about 1,000 people there, and you get to bless them with your story, and then the product changes your life, but then the product has a business side to it, so now it allows you to make money now while you're blessing people. And then you get on the airplane here, the captain wants to know why you're so happy, and he has no idea about what's going on the air. He has no idea. And so God used that, and he gives you all of his information. He's interested even in your business. I mean, that's what being a kingdompreneur is all about, folks. It's all about outside the box, but inside the kingdom. It's about allowing God to be who he wants to be in our lives. It's allowing him to, again, sometimes the individual things don't seem good. But like Charlie, she responded properly, and she said to this gentleman, I don't know what it is that happened in your life that would cause you. I think her response that day, that compassion she showed toward that man, was one of the things that allowed him to come to Christ. I read today about a lawman who, this guy shot somebody, and this, the authorities were called. The policeman showed up. He shot at the guy shot at him. They both end up getting shot in the midsection, the stomach, and they go to the hospital. And the first thing this policeman says is, he was just a young teenager, and he said to his daughter, "Is he okay?" She's like, "Is he okay? What do you mean? Are you okay?" He said, "Well, I must be okay. I woke up." And this gentleman, that they wanted to give him 60 years, but the policeman said, "No, he's a young man. He needs a second chance." And because of that, instead of getting 60 years, I think he just got a few years. And then this man came to Christ in the prison, and not just came to Christ, but today he's a pastor. Because of the verse that every day my phone goes off at 1:20 to remind me of James 1:20, the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. Because I just get upset and I want to just do some things, and God has to remind me that doesn't work my righteousness. Doing things my way through my grace. And Charlie, that's what we're all in the process of doing, and that's why someone had to hear this today. Somebody's really going through, but I'm telling you, my friend. I'm telling you, Charlie's been there. Many of us have been there. And my main message in life is always, every master was once a mess. Therefore, every mess or mediocre person can one day be a master. And so say you're a master in the making, and allow the master of masters to keep working on you and take your mess and make you into a masterpiece. We were talking today, and I said to Charlie, my brokenness is a lot better bridge for people than my pretend wholeness ever was. And so we wanted to have this call. And I'm telling you now, we're going to have another call with her. We're going to just stay tuned, because we got another story that we can't dispel right now. It's got to be in the proper text, context, and timing. But I'm telling you, my friend, at the first of this at the beginning of October, I believe we'll be able to release, and you are not going to want to miss this. So, Charlie, we've got to close out, man. But what would you like to close out with? It's just amazing what God's doing in your life, and to see how dark things were, and a helpless and seemingly hopeless situation. Now you're helping others, being healed, and being used as a vessel to help heal others. What would you like to close us out with tonight?
I would just like to say that, first of all, together we are strong. And had I checked myself out, I would have missed all of this.
Wow.
And in the middle of my insanity, I couldn't see this. I could not see this girl that's talking to you on the phone. I could not see the miracles that God has in store for all of us. I could not see what he was about to do in my life. I absolutely, when I'm able to share the rest of this story with you, it's going to blow your socks off. I would have missed all of this. So again, if you're listening to us, hang on, because God has a plan bigger than our pain. Bigger than our pain. And there's something amazing and huge around the corner. You just have to have the courage to hang on today. He's got you. He's got you. Even when it feels like it's the least, he's got you.
Wow. Folks, I've got one question. When you receive that, I mean, that is just Incredible. So if you'd like information again on that product, www.getonthegel.com. It's a generic site, getonthegel.com. If somebody shared this with you, then they may be a part of the company. They have their own particular website, but getonthegel.com is the generic site. It's a product I believe everybody in the world needs to be on, and you try it for yourself and at least be a customer, give it a shot. But again, my friend, ministry, see, this is all about ministry, but it's ministry in such a way that you also can make money because God will allow you to be connected with anointed business concepts. And that's what we're blessed to be able to do. So, again, let me check out if you haven't taken advantage of the free book and trial offer.com. Go to www.freebookandtrial, TRAIL, freebookandtrialoffer.com. A good friend of mine, Dr. Myron Golden, has a book, From the Trash Man to Cash Man, How Anybody Can Get Rich Starting From Anywhere. I knew him when he was a trash man making $6.25 an hour. And I know a few last month, he was speaking in Orlando, and in 30 minutes, he did $3.8 million worth of sales. The brother knows what he's talking about. So he wrote this book.
Wow.
Over 140,000 copies sold. In fact, I connected him with one company that bought 100,000 copies before my book came out, but they bought 100,000 copies. That's how good it is. So, but you can get it free. You just pay the shipping and handling. People always want to know what's the catch. Well, there's two catches, little catch. One is you got to read the book. He wants you to read it. Number two, you pay for the shipping and handling. He'll let you have the book free, but you got to pay the shipping and handling, and you'll get that. And they'll also give you 2 weeks free of his Bible Success Academy. So, again, www.freebookandtrialoffer.com. I highly recommend. I've read the book 4 times myself, and he's a humble servant of the Lord, and he wants to be a blessing to you. And I'm telling you, he was born with polio, by the way, and was poor most of his life. I used to be his professor in college. He quit college, but he went on to millions, and now he's able to bless many people in the kingdom, and he wants to teach from a biblical perspective. And that's really what Charlie and I and mine, that's what we're all about, is empowering and helping one another. So, folks, I trust this has been a blessing to you today. Charlie, thank you for your heart. Thank you.
Can I share one quick thing? If you want more on my story, you can go to thegelrevolution.com, and there's more about my story on my website.
Okay, thegelrevolution.com.
.com, correct.
Yes. All righty. www.thegelrevolution.com. You'll get more information there on Charlie's story. All righty. Well, hey, God bless you again. Thank you, Charlie. We're looking forward to October 19th and 20th. If you know anybody in Seattle, Washington, we'll be putting out flyers on that. Get them to that meeting, and they'll get a breakthrough, I promise you, by the grace of God.
Yes. Yes, yes. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Okay. Bye-bye.